Good afternoon, everyone. We're calling to order this hearing. This is a continuation of the hearing we had last week. This is the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking, joint with the Committee on Public Services, Local Government, Health and Demography, and Finance. This meeting is called to order. For those who are just joining us for the first time in this hearing, welcome. For the resource persons who were here last week, thank you, and thank you for being here last week, and thank you for being here again today. For the record, this hearing will cover a number of bills. These are Senate Bills number 16 on Water Sustainability Act, which is my bill. Senate Bill number 310, an act to promote rural health by providing an accelerated program for the construction of a potable water supply system in every barangay in the country within 3 years by our Senate President, Juan Miguel Zubiri. And Senate Bill number 1048, Safe Drinking Water Act, filed by our Majority Floor Leader, Senator Joel Villanueva. This also includes a privileged speech that I delivered on World Water Day last March 22. I will not include the summary of the hearing anymore because this has already been, this is off record. You can watch the video. It is on YouTube, so that's easy for everyone to do. For those new to this hearing, I'd like to put emphasis on the fact that this is being heard by the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking because precisely of the overlapping effect of not having a sustainable water supply. So this hearing actually does not include the creation of a water department, whatever water office that the government would like to have. Although we have touched on it, you can touch on it, but it really is on the overlapping SDGs on people being able to live well, on poverty being exacerbated by lack of clean water, on good health being affected, on sustainable cities and communities not being achieved because precisely of water, and how this affects the different communities. There's always a supplier and there is always a receiver of the supply. So we'd really like to have a healthy interchange of observations, expert opinions on this. And so I would humbly ask that you do not read any long position papers because that is for our assignment to read those position papers before or after the hearings, not during. I'd rather you emphasize the points you want to make so that we can have a discussion. I have less than 2 hours because we have a session today. And so without further ado, I will call on our first resource person for the day from Save Sierra Madre Network Alliance. We have the chairperson, Ms. Araceli Mercado, and Father Montaliana with us, the former chairperson, and I am told it is Father Montaliana who will deliver the position of the Save Sierra Madre Network Alliance. Welcome, and the floor is yours. And then we also have later on, I will call on those physically present first. So after that, we will have Local Water Utilities Administration. Be ready na lang. Father, the floor is yours.
Magandang hapon po. Pwede po Tagalog na lang ako.
Di ho.
Mas bihasa ako sa Tagalog.
Kung saan ho
kasi
kayo
I work with the
komportable?
indigenous people.
Yes, kung saan kayo
Okay.
komportable.
Yung maraming salamat at na-consultan niyo kami. Kami ay matagal na nasa Sierra Madre and we have observations about how water is being treated sa Sierra Madre. Ang isang malaking observation po namin ay maraming tao ang nag-iisip na akala nila ang tubig ay nanggagaling sa dam. Mali po yun. Ang tubig hindi galing sa dam. Ang tubig ay galing sa mga kahoy at sa forest. At kung mayroong malinis na tubig, yun ay galing din sa forest. Hindi mga chemicals naglilinis ng tubig, kundi yung biodiversity na nasa gubat natin. In fact, one of the experts sa Sierra Madre nagsabi na ang pinakamalinis at magandang tubig ay nagagaling sa Sierra Madre. So, mahalagang ma-disabuse natin yung ating pag-iisip tungkol doon. Pangalawa, ay yung observation namin na tayong Pilipino ay mahilig tayo maggamit ng tubig kasi biyaya ng Diyos sa atin. Napakaraming tubig dito sa Pilipinas eh. Kaya, kwan tayo sa tubig, waldas. But ang tubig ay, fresh water is already lumiliit na lang dahil lang sa nasira natin ng forest. Andyan yung logging, andyan yung quarrying, andyan yung road expansion, andyan yung yung pagdadami ng mga subdivision. At maraming umaagaw ng forest sa atin. In fact, ang forest natin ngayon ay just 15% na lamang ng dati. In 1900s, we had a lot of forest. Pero ngayon ay hindi na sustainable ang forest natin. At yung ating programa sa forest, yung NGP, ay hindi na NGP, kundi IGP, Income Generating Project. I hope the DNR is listening na talagang ayusin talaga yung ng forest para madumami ang forest natin. Yun ang pinanggagalingan tubig. So, yun yung mahalaga po siguro. So, emphasis namin ay take care of the forest. At the same time, magkaroon tayo ng water management. Yung water management, alimbawa ako, noon, nung hindi pa ako namumulat sa kalikasan, pagkas naliligo 3 balde. Ngayon, ay 1 balde na lang. Kasi mayroon pang ibang gagamit ng tubig.
Pwede ho ba akong mag-comment dun sa sinabi nyo? Nung dati hong nakausap ko din yung isang manufacturer ng sabon, kinikwento sa akin na hindi talaga mapalitan daw yung practice ng mga Pilipina, mga nanay, na kailangan 3 kula, 3 rinse. So parang 3 ligo, isasabay ko na ho yun dun sa, di ba, yung frame of mind siguro. Talagang
Frame of mind po.
frame of mind pa kasi nga, kung dati ganun talaga, ngayon, talagang kailangan magbago, di ba?
Kailangan magbago
Sinabi
talaga
pa
po.
nga nila sa akin na nag-develop sila ng, yun nga, in the interest of sustainability,
Yes
nag-develop
po.
sila ng product na talaga namang after 1 kula, tanggal na talaga yung sabon. Hindi daw talaga talagang pagpipilitan. Tapos pa, hindi pa pala happy kasi kulang daw sa bula. Anyway, example lang na nakita ko yung good intention naman ng company, and yet hirap na hirap silang ma-communicate yun dun sa mga users. So, ang ganda ho na sa inyo nang gagaling yung mga observation. I'm really enjoying what you're saying. Kaya, alam ko may timeline itong staff ko sa inyo, pero ako na magsasabing habaan nyo pa ng konti.
At po, yung ikinunik natin yung water sa hanap buhay, yung pinagkakakitaan ng tubig. I mean, I think we should disabuse that. May karapatan ng bawat tao sa malinis at maraming tubig. Hindi lamang sa may pera. So, sana makagawa ng sistema para ang tubig is available for all. Hindi para sa negosyo. Kasi ang mga taong nagnenegosyo ng tubig, siyempre gagawa ng dam. Mas maraming tubig, mas maraming kita. Ay, kawawa naman yung mga katutubo. Ang mentality po ng katutubo, I have been with them for 28 years na. Ang mentality ng katutubo, ang kalikasan ay kapatid. You don't abuse yung produkto ng kalikasan. Only what you need. Kung siguro tayong mga katutubo lahat, hindi tayo magkakaproblema sa tubig. But ang mentality natin na brainwash na tayo ng virus na galing sa abroad. Materialistic. Commercial na ating isip lagi, pagkakakitaan. So, I think, yung mentality, at the same time, hindi naman tayo, yung old-fashioned. We use technology. Halimbawa, sa Singapore, yung wastewater ay nagagamit pa nila. At ito ginagamit naman na excuse, mahal daw. Pero hindi na sinasabing totoo dito sa Kaliwa Dam. Sinasabi na ang Kaliwa Dam is the cheapest. Pero hindi sinasabi na yung Kaliwa Dam, it will only last for 5 years. At pagkatapos nun, gagawa na naman sila ng dam, either Agos Dam or Laiban Dam. Hindi yun sinasabi sa tao. Tapos itong boring na ginagawa na ngayon sa Tanay, sa Teresa, ay ilalagay ito sa bill ng mga consumers. Tinatago nila yun. Laki ng bill doon. Hindi yun, and at the end of the day, grabe ang babayaran natin sa tubig na sabi nila ay pinakamura. Ang pinakamura ay water management. At tapos yung ating mga dams, ang ating dams ay silted na. Ba't hindi hukayin yun sa halip na gumawa ng ibang dam? At you will displace thousands of people. Mahalaga po sa atin ang katutubo kasi ang katutubo ang siyang merong concern sa kalikasan. I learned a lot from them. In fact, kung bakit ako simple ngayon, I hope I'm simple, ay dahil sa kanila.
Father, can I just get a clarification sa statement nyo? Ang
Opo.
sinasabi nyo po is, with the creation of more dams,
Yes.
there will be people displaced.
Yes,
And
opo.
most of those displaced are indigenous people. That's
Yes,
one of the
indigenous.
statements that you
Opo.
are emphasizing.
Opo.
Okay. When on the contrary, ang gusto nyong ma-recognize is that sila pa nga ang nagpapangalaga ng water
Sierra
resources
Madre.
natin.
Yes.
Well, the forest and
Yes.
the water resources.
Opo.
And yet sila ho ang tatamaan with the dams.
Mm. Hindi lang po dam, yung mining, yung yung expansion ng roads, yung Ilagan Dibilagan Road ay tinututulan namin pero nagkaroon ng kakaibang style yung DNR. Ginawa nilang yung forest ay ginawa nilang multiple use. So one-way excuse na yung forest ay gawan mo lang ng kalsada. Wala na yun. Tingnan mo, nagbaha-baha doon sa Isabela sa Cagayan because we destroyed the forest. Nakita namin mga centuries-old trees. At this time na climate change, I think we have to come out with a very good water management plan. Tayo ay umiinit na ng gusto. It is the responsibility of everyone na ayusin natin ang mundo. So we have to come out with a sustainable water management. Mahalaga po. Kaya I really support this initiative. Mahalaga po.
Thank you for that. And yan yung gusto kong discussion na tie up nyo din po sa sustainable forest management, which may bill din tayo dyan, separate pa, but they should not really be separate. And then, yun nga, yung kabuhayan and the life of not just the indigenous people, but other people affected by this. So thank you very much for your presentation. I'll go now to Local Water Utilities Administration. Attorney Vicente Homer Reville, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, Senator Pia Cayetano. To all the members of this committee, fellow resource persons, friends, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I am Vicente Homer Reville, the administrator of the Local Water Utilities Administration. And we are here to present about what is LUWA. LUWA is a government-owned and controlled corporation created under the Provincial Water Utilities Act of 1973. LUWA is a specialized lending institution that creates and develops local water districts outside National Capital Region. And what we are doing here is that we are developing level 3 distribution. It formed 875 local water districts, 532 are operational. It is in the 995 cities and municipalities. There are 22.3 million people that are served with 5,461,000 households using the PSA 4.1% for the household and the population served. Regarding the cities and municipalities covered outside Metro Manila, it covers the 995 local cities and municipalities. It comprises 62% of the cities and municipalities, and 38% or 622 cities and municipalities are not covered by the local water districts. On the households served outside the NCR, as of December 22, there are 22,894,254 households outside NCR. And we at LUA, we are serving 24% or 5,461,000 households. However, the rest of the country that we have not served through the local water districts, there are about 17,433,000 households. But they may also be served by the other water service providers, such as the local government units, the cooperatives, the private water providers, and the rural water providers. Now, LUA's goal, in sync with the national goal of PDP 2023 to 2028, LUA aims to provide adequate and sustainable safe water and sanitation services in the countryside by 2030 through self-reliant local water districts. Now, what are the issues and challenges that is besetting the local water utilities administration and also with the water districts? Let me start with the water source. The water source is a major issue and challenge for us because the continued extraction of groundwater results in the depletion of groundwater. The negative effects of groundwater depletion include degradation of water level on wells and reduction of water levels in streams, rivers, and lakes. And at the same time, it is the call of this president that we should prioritize surface water as the primary source, but it can be very costly also because the treatment is necessary to make it safe for drinking. And also, there's also the decline in the level of surface and groundwater, which can also occur naturally as a result of prolonged dry spell, frequent occurrence of El Nino, and changes in our climate. And also, as regards to the funding, huge investment is required to finance new construction, expansion, rehabilitation, and maintenance of water supply system, including construction of water treatment plants for surface sources. Poor and low-income municipalities are unable to afford the high cost of water infrastructure, and access to financing becomes a problem. Furthermore, the national government support for water supply development is very low. In the last 5 years, 2019 to 2023, LUA has been granted only a total of 2 billion pesos, which is way below LUA's investment requirements to achieve the national goal. And for the record, I would like to put it here in this Honorable August Chamber that for 2023, only 16 million pesos had been appropriated under GAA for LUA, and it's only for sanitation and zero budget for water development. We should...
I'm confused. Can we go back to your numbers? You said before this 16 billion.
16 million
Yeah.
only.
16 million.
Only for
Okay.
2023.
Akala ko naman from 2 billion, umangal ka pa na naging 16 billion. Yung pala naging 16 million.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
When I
okay.
took over as the administrator of LUA 3 months ago, I was surprised with this figure because this was only given a very small sanitation project only at Maragondon.
Yung 2 billion, kailan yun?
For the
Previous?
past 2019 to 2023, is spread 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, for
that's-
5 years.
That's over. That's
For 5 years, we were only given about 2 billion pesos. And well, for this year, 2023, we're only given
There must have
16.
been a reason. Were you able to check the records, the hearing records, and ano na, ba't binabaan yan? Like, were the funds utilized naman?
The funds are had
The
been
previous
utilized.
2 billion, they were fully
The
utilized
2 billion,
naman.
actually, most of them kasi came from Typhoon Yolanda. So it's not really our primary budget.
So
It was binigay lang sa
inyo yan
amin
to
yung
rehab,
pondo to rehab
to rehab, but it wasn't,
Yes.
so it
It's
did
not our
does
primary-
not even address all these gaps.
Yes, ma'am.
So you never had funding to address these gaps?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'll go straight to my concern, but I'm not going to, I allow you to continue, no, but just be sure masama mo to dun sa nire-report mo ngayon. How, do you have like a 5-year, 10-year plan? Because 2030 is the goal, and you have it here. You recognize, no, the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal commitment we have. So you have a plan for this.
Yes, ma'am. We have the PBBM legacy
Okay.
program
But-
for LUA and for water and sanitation for the entire country.
Okay.
That is Patubig sa Buong Bayan at Mamamayan project.
Okay.
And we are envisioning to have at least 5 billion continuing appropriation for LUA to the water districts for the next 5 years.
Okay, so 5 billion per year.
Per year, that is
Okay.
what we are going to
Okay.
ask.
Okay.
And
Ngayon, ongoing yan dapat ngayon
We are-
with your
we just,
talks with DBM.
yes, madam.
Okay.
We are just submitting, today is the day
Okay.
that we have to submit to DBM. And
Okay.
before I left the office, we already
Sige.
submitted the
And
5 billion
this is
proposal.
consistent with no less than the President's priority plan.
Yes,
So you
ma'am.
need to keep us updated on that. Like, obviously, DBM will look at your proposal and to see how realistic it is, how realistic, practical it is. Then you continue to give us feedback. So 5 billion a year until, well, at the very least, until the term of the President.
Yes,
diba?
until the term.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. And I would like now to just include that, saying that we at LUA, we intend to have at least 12% increase of service coverage. And
What would
together
it
with
be?
the water districts,
Sorry,
we're
what is that coverage?
for the increase of numbers of household
Yeah,
that
yeah.
will be served.
Oh.
And also we're looking at additional, together with the local water districts, we're looking at an increase of 33% for the next 5 years, if we'll be given a budget of 5 billion per year.
Increase of
12
30%?
30%.
Increase of 30%. Are you talking about the household or the population? Because you have to.
Population
Increase
in
of
household
30% population
for the next 5
coverage.
years.
So,
At the end of the term,
So,
we're looking
wait.
at 30% increase.
just a minute. So if you will increase, kasi, okay, I'm trying to understand this. Are we talking about, if you consider that you have 24% of the households outside of NCRs being serviced, 30% increase of that is additional 7%. Is that how I compute it? Or no, 24 plus 30? What do you mean?
We
Para
are-
clear tayo sa expectations.
I will start first, ma'am, with what Local Water Utilities Administration's present condition.
Okay.
So we at LUA, we have a present, we have 4.67 million. 5.46 million households served.
Okay.
On the part of LUA, if you'll be given an investment of 5 billion per year, we're looking to increase in the next 5 years additional 670,000 households served, or 2.7 million population that will be served with additional water supply and sanitation.
So
And
that's
that
an additional, that's
12,
an addition.
12%, that's only 12%. Now, I'm talking only about on the part of LUA, if we'll be having that 5 billion investment. But also, I am correlating this because we are together with the local water districts. And with the local water districts, we have also targeted an increase of about 1.14 million additional households served, because they themselves, they also do their own expansion also as a GOCC. So based on our targets, we are aligning with each other. We'll be having an additional 4.67 million additional population served, or additional about 20%. So we're looking at a conservative of 30% for the entire local water districts additional service, and the local water utilities administration additional service
Per year?
for the next 5 years, ma'am.
That
30
will take 5 years.
5 years. But we should have a consistent, at least
So what
5
is
billion
the
per year.
total raw number undertaken by LUA and the water districts? What is the total number?
We're looking at 1.8 additional household that will be served. And that increase is 33% households that we're going to serve in the next 5 years. We have a presentation, ma'am, that we can also
Sige.
provide
The
later.
problem with that is, if you ask me, no, there is a gap for me in terms of expectation and your reality. Your reality meaning at least what you're presenting to me. Kasi when you tell me that there's a PBB, pangalan ng program? PBB what? PBBM program.
Patubig sa buong bayan at mamamayan.
Yeah. I'm hopeful because I'm always happy if no less than the president will take recognition of a problem. But when you break it down into details and you tell me there's a 33% increase, which is additional 1.8 million household, I look at what you also provided, and the gap is 17.4 million households unserved. So if you will say that in 5 years you will cover 1.8 million, that's barely 10% of the unserved. Do I understand that correctly? Are those, so that's
still
so
way
small.
small. That's why we have to, well,
Yung
but-
capacity nyo ba is hanggang doon na lang talaga? I know you're coming from a non-existing budget. 16M for sanitation, and I'm big on sanitation kasi I always said include sanitation in the conversation. It shouldn't just be about supply, it should also be about sanitation. So I understand the importance of sanitation. So you're basically zero budget. So of course, 5B is a lot. But is that all you're capable of? Because it's barely a dent.
well, if with the good graces of our legislators, if we can, with the
Are
power
you-
with the purse.
But are you capable? That's what we need eh. You need to have an ambitious plan. And then you break it down. And ito ba sobrang ambisyoso kahit na ito na yung #1 priority natin sa Pilipinas? Kaya ba? Kung kaya, then tell me. Kung hindi kaya, then what is 50% of that? Because 10%, that's a
Madam
disservice.
Chair, for the record, we would like to submit a 10 billion budget actually to
Oh.
DBM, but we only submitted 5 billion budget.
why? Submit
Um,
10. Give me your breakdown for 10 and I will push for it. But parang nakakaloko tayo ng tao to tell us. And I feel like it's also an insult to the president kasi papangalanganan nyo ng pangalan niya and then you're barely covering 10% of the parang kung ako siya, sasabihin ko na, huwag nyo nga ipangalan sa akin yan. Kasi luloko ko lang yung mga tao para sabihin ko sa kanilang i-solve ko yung problem nyo and then 90% of the unserved will remain.
Not only LUA or the water districts, there are other providers.
But I'm looking at your figures. I'm looking at your figure. I'm looking at your. If you want to go back, no, who's handling the slides? I'm looking at the slide that says households served outside NCR.
Other one. The
So
next-
I'm just
next slide.
basing it on that. So when you tell me na 1.8 million yung ma-achieve nyo in 5 years, I'm saying that's 10% of the 17 million that is unserved. So there will still be 90% of that 17 million that is unserved, correct?
Ma'am, let me put this in the right context.
Correct. Please naman. I am very patient.
Yes, ma'am. Regarding, ma'am, the 76%, we are not saying that it is not served by
Anyone.
by anyone. But it can be served also by the LGUs. It can be served also by the cooperatives and the private water providers and the rural water
Okay,
providers.
sige, that is a very important context.
Yes,
so you
ma'am.
need to show me a slide that tells me who are unserved, period. Walang nagseserbisyo sa kanila. I understand luwa ka. Hindi mo naman hawak lahat yan.
Yes, ma'am.
Pero I am relying on you for context. So thank you for that clarification. I
And-
did not understand. So you need to show me another circle graph that tells me who is serving what and what is unserved.
as regards, ma'am, to my graph, on the served part, which is 5,461,000 households, we are going to increase on the part of Lua alone. We're going to add, let's go to the part of
And
served.
I know na, sa 5.4, magdadagdag ka ng 1.8. That is why you are saying you are increasing by 33%.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand. But what is that pie? What is that pie? What is that need? Baliwala sa akin yung figure na yan when I don't know the total need. So is the total need 5.4 plus 17? Tama?
Yes, ma'am.
That is the total. Okay. So on your part, you are serving additional 1.8. So of the total, your total 17.4 plus 5.4 is almost 24 million.
22 million, ma'am. 22,892,000. That's our on
23.
the higher on the top. That's we have 22
23,
million.
close to 23.
23 million
22.8. Okay,
households.
So 23. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Sige. So sa 23 million, but I still don't know what, when you say 76 is not served by,
It's beyond our jurisdiction. That's
it's
what
beyond
I
your jurisdiction. So what is within your jurisdiction?
Within our jurisdiction, we are now covering the 995 cities and municipalities. And, ma'am, let me put this into the right context because for the past 50 years, the PD had been there. The law had been there for the past 50 years, and we were able to have 5,461,000 households served for the past 50 years. So, whereas during this time, we are looking at a possible additional 1.8 million that we are going to have as an additional coverage for the household. So, in what I'm saying as a context, it's the figure is it's already I would say a big, bold, audacious program that we are trying to embark. 1.8 divided by 5,461,000. So that's about 33% increase. Yes, ma'am.
I understand. That's why I was not clear to me where you got the 33%. So I understand.
The 33%.
Yeah, I know now. I know now.
Thank you, ma'am.
It is 1.8 million is 33% of the 5.46. But I still want to understand of the 22 million households, who is, meron ka bang chart that tells me now? Because you already said here, naka-asterisk na yan eh. Sa 76, iba-iba ang nagsaservice. Do you know do you have a division of that? Can you see that? Can we see that?
Ma'am, we will submit
Okay. So
data
that
for
I
that because
understand
we
the
have to
whole-
validate it with the other providers.
Oo. And I still don't understand kasi nga, any of these other providers, whether it's the LGU themselves, a cooperative, a private water provider, what does RWSA stand for?
Rural Water Works.
Any of them can step up and provide, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So the reason I want to see, but you can also step up and provide. Di ba? Kasi,
Yes, ma'am.
kumbaga, you can enter into that because kasi you are anywhere outside of NCR, correct? Kaya nga. So in the totality of that, it's not accurate to say walang nagsuservice nung 76, but that's the info I need.
Yes, ma'am.
Because we know, ano nga ba yung nasa speech ko? 5 million ang walang access to clean water? 11? 11 million. So that's the info I'm trying to get out of these hearings. Remember, we even in the last hearing, there we also had the question na iba pa yung 11 million, iba pa yung percentage of this and that. So I'm trying to get to the bottom of what is that exact number and who will now service that? What is the plan? Okay? Thank you.
Ma'am,
Sige.
we'll provide that data. I'm now going back to our data bank because LUA has a very extensive and nationwide coverage on the data bank. So we can provide this committee on that. So can I?
Because when you go back to a PBBM plan, then I would assume that the president, like me, would like to know, okay, what is your contribution? Ikaw, ano contribution mo? Ikaw, ano contribution mo? Tell me the totality. Kasi I cannot be happy about one person's performance if I do not know what all the others are. I need to see the total. Will this crisis be solved in the next 5 years, 10 years? Will it provide a sustainable plan? Okay? Thank you.
Thank you for that consideration for Lua, ma'am. Because as I've been saying that with budget, we should really put where our mouth is, where we should put money where our mouth is, so to speak.
Yes,
So-
and my assignment for my team is to find, what I'd like to know also is like, so yun nga, yung breakdown kung sino ngayon ang nagsiservice ng iba-iba and sino yung pinaka-efficient. So if you tell me na unfortunately sa amin mababa kasi wala nga kaming pondo, o sige, pero ano yung capability nyo? I will ask you that question and as I will ask each one of them.
It will be part of my slide, ma'am,
Okay.
towards the end, ma'am. On the third challenge, ma'am, can we go to on the third challenge? We're looking at also at the low service coverage because most local water districts fail to expand their service coverage due to high capital requirements. Just this morning, ma'am, I've been talking with a lot of water districts and they're asking a lot of funding. What this is the plan, ma'am. If ever the funds will be given to us for ready implementation, we will just download it directly to the water districts concerned, and they can have it bidded out. Then it can be easily implemented on their end.
Curious, what would, I mean, I suppose that budget is based on population, more or less, population and the budget per district, per LGU.
No,
What
ma'am.
you will download to them.
This is the situation, ma'am. It is needs-based because
Correct. Kaya nga, and that need, in a nutshell, that need would be based on population and geographic, ano, kasi pwedeng konti lang sila, pero kalat-kalat sila, so mas magastos yun, kaysa sa medyo mas marami sila, pero dikit-dikit sila, tama ba?
yes, ma'am.
Kaya nga, so ano yung average cost nun? I mean, I know it's all different, but what would be, like if you say 5 billion for 1 year, ilan ang LGU na matutulungan nyo sa 5 billion na yon?
The average cost, ma'am, if in terms of more water connectivity, more distribution for safe and affordable drinking water, it's about 25 million
Okay.
per water district.
Okay.
But if we are talking about STP or sanitation projects, on the average, it's about 70 million. So I know that
All together or just for the sanitation?
for sanitation each. So
70.
70, ma'am. That's
Also,
why.
all together, mga 95.
Yes, ma'am. If you wanted it to be very comprehensive, but I would, we cannot just give it at one time to them. So because we are GOCCs, actually we make our operations sustainable. We would like also the funds given to us to be judiciously used because we have to sustain our operations, our maintenance, some of our capex.
But magkano ba
We don't-
administrative head cost nyo?
We do not ask funds coming from the national government on that. Actually, we use our own funds because we loan it to the water districts at about 4%. And based on those
because you are a
revenues,
lending institution.
Lending
I get
institution,
it. Okay.
ma'am, and
But,
engineering
sige,
services.
I understand it. Okay. Before we move on and before I allow you to continue and to finish, no, is there a way that you can roll out these amounts, like kumbaga sa first part, no, which is the supply, isang bigayan na yon 25M or isa na yon, yun na yon, yun na yon. You cannot give less. That's what they
we
need.
can give less, we can give more, but I'm just saying on the
yeah,
average.
Sorry, you can give less, you can give more, but that's the average,
That's
correct?
the average,
Okay.
ma'am.
But I mean, that's the package, more or less.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
for them to have to establish their clean water supply.
Actually,
Okay.
ma'am, if we just want to set up a new water district, we're looking at about 15 million pesos as a startup capital
Okay,
for
so
them.
pwedeng 15.
Pwedeng 15.
So on the sanitation side,
It's-
can you also give a portion? Kasi hindi ko masikmura yung wala eh. Kasi so much of the discussions last week on health is related to sanitation.
May I answer, ma'am?
Of course.
Regarding the sanitation, ma'am, actually, it's the bigger challenge because the water districts, they can barely sustain their operations. So actually, they wanted more to have first the connectivity to the households. That is their first priority because that's where they earn money too. However, if they're going to invest for their capex, capital expenditure for their sanitation, it's a huge amount of money. So it seems for the past 2 years, 2021 and 2022, we were able to be downloaded by about 500 million per year. And the beneficiary water districts are only about 5 or 6 water districts. And part also of our sustainability, now we're lending 50% and we're giving a grant of 50%. But eventually we're looking at, if these are big water districts, then we will have let them lend it for about 100%, but zero interest. So we're looking at the sustainability of our projects. But most of the good thing, ma'am, with this is that because of the Mandamus ruling by the Supreme Court regarding the implementation for the
Yes.
sanitation, all of them really wants to have these projects. So download it to them, because otherwise they'll be paying a penalty for it. So that in itself is our big ticket
They will
support
pay a penalty because
violation of the law.
sila magpe-penalty, hindi kayo.
Hindi, ma'am, kami, because they are the ones providing for the water
So
districts are the
parang
one providing.
naka-allocate na yung funding na yan for them, kaya lang hawak nyo lang?
Well, this is, ma'am, the peculiar situation with
Peculiar nga, kasi hindi ko
with the
maintindihan.
local water utilities administration and with the water districts. Magkapatid kami. So all funds course through the water districts should be coursed through the local water utilities administration.
So the national budget for water that would now be downloaded to the LGUs because of the Mandanas ruling.
Mandamus. Mandamus.
Mandated.
Mandated.
But it's the Mandanas ruling. It's the
Manila Bay.
okay.
For
I
the
thought you're referring to the, tamo lahat, lahat ng staff ko, kasi ang
Mandamus,
alam namin,
yeah.
yung Mandanas ruling on the LGUs, be having access to the funds.
It's a Mandamus, ma'am.
Okay, so
to implement.
can you clarify that, please?
Yeah, to implement,
We are on a different book, hindi nga
yes.
different page.
So this is
We're
a
on
good thing,
different
ma'am.
book.
We are aligning now. So thank you. With the Mandamus ruling by the Supreme Court, they have to implement their sanitation for their respective.
They are required.
They are required.
Correct.
So now they'll be
Wait,
penalized.
is this the Oposa case?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ay, yun sana sinabi mo kasi yung
Oposa.
Mandamus, katunog ng
Mandanas.
Mandanas. So, kung sinabi mong Oposa, naintindihan ko na kagad yun.
It's the MMDA
Dominant
case.
Levy.
ma'am. MMDA case,
Pero
ma'am.
Oposa, di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Oo. Okay. So they are required to spend it. They are required to they're required to
fund.
provide.
They're required to provide.
provide.
So they will, I'm sure, mag-uunahan yan if we'll be providing for
Okay,
them.
because they have to provide, now maghahanap sila ng funding.
Ng funding.
So, uutang sila, maghahanap sila ng grant, whatever. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So, my next question is, what percentage of your budget, let's assume na lang you get the 5 billion per year. What percentage of that budget is for loans and what percentage is for grants? And then I tie that up to the Mandanas ruling because
Mandanas? Mandamus?
napunta na ako sa Mandanas.
Mandanas, okay.
Move na ako sa Mandanas.
Yes, ma'am.
So under the Mandanas ruling, if there are services that are supposed to be handled by the LGU, if it is meant to be devolved, then they should handle the funding. So may ganun ba? Have you had discussions on this? That's why my question was, are you holding the funds for them and they are required to get it from you? Because if they don't get it, sabi ko nga, but dapat kayo ang kasi although you are GOCC and I don't know how the Mandanas ruling affects GOCCs, but if you were a regular national government unit, agency, then you would be required to download that. So that is my question now, with the Mandanas ruling, not Mandamus. Do you have anything on that?
Regarding, ma'am, the Mandanas ruling, it goes directly to the coffers of the local government units.
Okay, so who would be able to answer my question? Baka it was a resource persons yesterday, na how much is allocated?
Ma'am,
is it
we are, our relationship, ma'am, is that we have the local water utilities administration that oversees and manages the water districts because we are delivering level 3 services to the population. And that's totally different, ma'am, because we can only download to the local water districts. We cannot download to the LGUs. Actually, this is the reason why there's a big discussion. The big discussion, ma'am, here is that it's all about sustainability. And sustainability, reliability, and dependability.
Sorry, can you just repeat your last statement?
Ma'am, this is the situation. Actually, I'm going towards my last slide, but
Okay.
I'll make it quick, ma'am, with the water quality. Of course, water quality is another issue and challenge. Now, I will go directly.
I'm not ready to leave this, ha?
Yes, ma'am.
Hindi ako nangiiwan ng topic na hindi ko maintindihan.
Yes, ma'am.
So,
Can we now go to the next slide,
You're
please?
answering me by way of the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The next slide, please. This is the LUA, Local Water Utilities Administration and Water District concept. LUA, LWD concept has proven a track record of being the best setup for achieving a sustainable, dependable, and reliable water supply. Because we are doing a level 3 supply to the members of our population. Hence, it is
What is level
targeted.
1? What is level 2? What is level 3? What do
Level
you
1
mean?
is the source of water only, yung mga wells only, wells or yung mga
Okay, wait. We had this
spring.
discussion last week. Level 1 is point source. Level
Point
2
source.
is commercial. Level 3 is pipe system.
No, level 2 is communal.
Communal pala.
Communal.
Malibasa ko sa
So
sulat
yung
ko,
may
communal.
piping din siya, pero the rest of the barangays, public faucet, parang public
Okay,
faucet siya.
got it,
That's
got
level
it.
2. Whereas tayo sa level 3, we have direct faucet to the households. So if we want to be quantifiable and we want to be with the right target, we should do, this is the best format, through the local water utilities administration and through to the water districts. Because we have been here for the past 50 years, and the office is mandated to provide not only financing, but we are here to provide also technical, like we have an engineering support. So just in case they have a problem with their water pumps or something is wrong with their connections, we can easily provide for them. We have also provided for the institutional development. If they have, they need to undergo trainings for health, for sanitation, for more engineering trainings, we also provide for that. And we also provide regulatory. So they cannot just increase the rates onerously. So we're there to ensure that there's the right financial viability for them. And at the same time, there must be the right public hearing and processes on how to ensure that they are properly regulated. And of course, the financial. So this is our setup. So all the local water utilities administration and the water districts, we are GOCCs. So we should have the sustainability in our operations. So, ma'am, that basically ends my presentation. I'm here, ma'am, to answer some more of your clarifications or queries to the LUA and to the water districts.
No, I just realized the reason I was confused. I'll go back to my original confusion on served and unserved, because the copy that you gave me is probably a draft. It does not have that asterisk on what it means. Eh, dito ako nakatingin. O yan, no, wala ako niyan. Wala ako niyan.
You sent an updated.
Oo, but I don't have an updated. So that's why, yung asterisk na yan.
Kindly
is
present to
yan.
the good senator the latest presentation. Actually, we made the clarification on our way here to the Senate. So that's why I know that this will be a very big discussion. So we clarified it. Can we please send a
Okay.
copy?
Anyway, one last question, then I'll move to the others because we took more time, but I really wanted to understand this. Without a budget, then, what was service prior to your term? What was service? Did you have a revolving fund? Because my other question before that was, with the 5 billion, what would be loans and what would be grants?
Ma'am, let me answer first the first question. There are funds downloaded to Lua, which that Lua initially also requested from the national government. But usually the biggest that Lua receives is just a billion and two. And
But be clear about that kasi I'm going to report this to the media. Sabi mo sa akin, 16 million lang in the past.
for this year is 16
sorry.
million.
To be
2
clear pala,
billion.
2 billion over 5 years.
Over 5 years.
Oh, sorry. So you use that. But
Yes, we used it already,
was
ma'am.
used before your term.
Yes, ma'am. There's an ongoing actually because there's a 2022 budget. So we are
And
just
the
implementing it now.
22 is
565 million.
okay. And how much of that is loans and how much is
562 million.
how much is loans and how much is grants?
Actually, coming in now as the administrator, before me, the administrator verbally said that he wants it a different scheme. But for me, I want
you.
it to be, there must really be a loan part on it. So now, with the approval of the Board of Trustees, we're going to make it 50% grant and 50% loan. So that at least 50% of the money will return back to the Lua coffers, and we will again support the other water districts who needs also sanitation projects
50-50.
with 0% interest.
50-50.
50%. But ma'am, now can I go ma'am to the regarding the budget? For the past 5 years, we only have 2 billion budget,
Yeah, you
and
told
it's almost used up.
Yes, yes.
So the
But you
other
have five-
other
but that 500 that you have for 2022 is part of the latest
It's the
amount.
latest.
And the reason why you look at it as a bulk is because you revolve your funds kasi meron kayong utangan so may bumabalik, 'di ba? Okay. I have to move on, but my last question lang to understand this is I want to tie it up to the concern not concern but the position raised by Save Sierra Madre, no? Is water meant to be a free resource for all? Is it like the basic survival needs that the country, well, the government, no, owes to its people? And because if we have a clear answer to that fundamental question, like for example, the Constitution is very clear: free public education. So kaya nag-start yan free elementary education, and then that was extended to high school, and then it was extended to tertiary. So what is our stand on water? Eh, hindi ka naman, in as much as I'm an education advocate, di ka mamamatay kung di ka nag-aral. You, of course, will have a better life if you study, but you won't die. But if you don't have water, you will die. So, on that note, and baka mahaba pa tong discussion, you can give me a quick response and then we can talk later. But what portion of that is meant to be a service? And what portion is already considered maybe not a luxury, pero beyond naman yung super basic needs?
To answer that, ma'am, water is free,
Okay,
but service is not.
okay.
So let's put that in that context.
Okay.
So at the same time, when we talk about water, we're talking about issue on development. It's always an issue on development. And it is all encompassing. It is holistic. I'll go back again to the mandate of LUA, which is it is imbued with public service, but we are doing a socialized way of developing the water resources of this country. So if you can see that the lending rate, commercial lending rate is about 8%, we're only lending it at 4%. And most of our 532 water districts are in the developing stage, that there must always be a continuing support to them. Otherwise, they will just wither and die, so to speak. That's why if we are really serious in developing our water resources, there must be a consistent government policy that will develop our water districts. Because this is the problem that LUA encountered. Because the funding was never consistent. Hence, the targeting never achieved its real potential and the real target. So if we could just ask, and it is the prayer of LUA, if we could have a consistent funding for the next 5 years, then with God's grace, we can be able to achieve our target.
Okay. Wala ba?
Target 6.1.
What does it refer to? Free? I wanted to add to the discussion, but let me hold it for now. Thank you very much. Anyway, as long as we still have time, babalikan ko naman kayo. Ay, I saw that, but... Maybe I'll end with this, no, on that topic. Target 6.1 of SDG 6 on clean water and sanitation states, by 2030, achieve universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all. So, and there's more, no, obviously. In fact, target 6.2 is yung concern ko on sanitation and hygiene. But I guess that's the question, how in our context, because it should be context-based, what is affordable drinking water? Diba? If you're a farmer and we know the income of a farmer, we have to ensure that affordable yung tubig na yon. What's affordable to you, all of us who live in the cities, we own a car, iba yung level of affordability dun sa kanila, diba? So, but we've taken a lot of time, maybe balikan ko kayo later or in the TWG na lang na how much is that? I'm just curious. Or do you have a figure? Like how much is water in this district versus NCR? And if it's not readily accessible, we can go back to it because I have to.
One
move on.
household consumes about 18 to 20 cubic meters. Every household per month, it consumes 18 to 20 cubic meters.
Okay.
One
And-
household is about 4.1.
And so how much?
About 18 to 20 cubic meters.
And so how much is that to?
It depends
to a
on how
house?
much the certain water district sells it for.
Kaya nga, what is the
we're-
range? What is the range sa inyo?
So range
sa
namin,
mga clients nyo?
we're looking about 200
200?
per 10 cubic meters, or 20 pesos per cubic meter.
20
Or-
pesos per cubic meter.
And we
so,
would-
400 pesos a month?
Yes. So
400
we're
pesos
even
a month.
we're even hoping to lessen it.
Okay, thank you. You wanna add anything? Your staff behind you is looking at their laptop.
Base rate po ito. Tapos per additional cubic meters is 22 pesos po.
Our base rate is about 204.03 pesos, and 11 to for the first 10, it's about 20 pesos per cubic. Yeah, and or
Mas tama na yung sinabi niya, no need for additional info. Yun na yun, average lang naman ako eh. Tama na yun, di
Yes,
ba? So, 20 pesos per cubic meter, and that's times 20 kasi 18 to 20, so roughly 400.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that's not too much for a household, and we don't want it to strain the household's budget. So I'm still coming up with an equation in which I would like to really know how much a certain household, based on the poverty incidence, how much are they really spending for the water per month. I'm trying to come up still with. I'm trying to discuss with the technical group.
Yes.
I would
I'm-
like to ensure that, because water is very much related with the poverty incidence in our country.
Of course, yes, I agree.
So,
And I'm
thank
just
you.
curious, what is your background? Do you come from a water, I mean, your knowledge is newly acquired or matagal na kayong involved sa water?
Ma'am, I am a PROMD. I came from the province of Masbate. I served before as the local government, in the local government unit. Previously
okay.
as a member of the provincial board, vice
Ah,
governor,
okay.
and acting capacity as a
Okay.
governor.
So, na-handle nyo na itong mga problema ng tubig sa
Yes,
Masbate?
Senator.
Saan kayo sa Masbate?
In the city, but we have a municipality. Yes, we've handled this, and I know how it is to be in a small province, and
yeah.
some places has no water.
Yes.
The islands doesn't have water.
Masbate
Most of the
doesn't
islands in the
have-
entire country doesn't have water. When we go there, we bring gallons of water for them.
So, ano yun? Binabarko?
Binabangka.
Ay, bangka pala.
Binabangka namin.
Talaga ba?
Yes, ma'am.
The whole island?
No, some small islands. But in our country, since we are an archipelago, so it is a big issue for the entire country.
Right,
Because
okay.
not all are endowed with a God-given
Natural
water source. So the rest of the country has a lot of problem with that, especially in the Visayas area. And because when the typhoon comes on the eastern side,
Yeah.
if typhoon batters and destroys the facilities of the water districts, if you cannot respond in a month or two, mababangkarote yan. So at the same time, of course, the poor service for the people. So I
Okay.
can feel those. I know
Yeah.
how these things works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
that. Sige. Okay, let's move on. Our next speaker will be from the Future Water Asia, Mr. Dondi Alikpala, and then to be ready, Maynilad Water Services after, and then Manila Water Company. So let me call on Mr. Alikpala, the CEO of Future Water Asia.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, so I have a presentation, but while they're setting it up, I want to address some of the issues that have been raised. I think there's a lot of data. If you look at the Annual Poverty Indicator Survey of 2020 of PSA, they pointed out that only 54.1% of all Filipinos have household connections. 54%, that's only slightly more than half. That's the level 3 systems. The good senator also said that a lot of how many million people don't have access to sufficient drinking water. Well, we're looking at a population here in 2023 of about 113.7 million Filipinos. Now, the Annual Poverty Indicator Survey of 2020 said about 91.3 have access to drinking water. So that, I just computed it, that's about 9.9 million Filipinos who don't have access to sufficient drinking water. So that these numbers are important. What's also interesting in that same survey is that apparently 47.8% of all families rely on refilling stations for their drinking water. So that was that's huge. That means almost 50% of all Filipinos have to go for refilling station just to be able to drink safe water.
Can
So-
I ask you a question before you proceed?
Yes, please. Yes,
When
yes.
you say that you computed 9.9 million, can you just repeat how you got to that? And then when we say
All right, sure.
and when we say don't have access, do you know what that means? Like, does that mean no access directly in your house?
Sure.
No access directly within your household, or does it mean no access within a 5-minute walk? Ano kaya ibig sabihin nun?
Go ahead, please. So in Manila, NEDA has a definition for access. And I think it's if you have to travel more than 30 minutes to get water, you don't have access.
Wow,
Right?
ha? So,
And when we say
okay,
access-
let me just comment on that kasi NEDA was here, so I'll double
Yeah.
check their definition.
Yeah.
So if you walk 25 minutes, may access ka pala.
May access ka pa.
Wow. So wait ha, let me compute ha. I just really want to compute this. Wait ha. I live, wait ha, 1.6. I live about 2.5 kilometers away from my mom. So if it takes me 10 minutes per kilometer, 25 minutes to go to my mom's house to drink water, I am considered a person with access. Wow.
You could be considered.
And to
So,
think good
well,
roads yun. Kasi sa loob ng subdivision
it's
yun.
for-
Okay.
And that's even, no, I think it's walking. So may perfect if NEDA's there, if it's 30 minutes back and forth or 30 minutes one way. we can
Exactly.
clarify that.
Tama. O sige. We'll
Yeah.
ask NEDA later. I don't want to interfere na with your, with
No,
your...
that's fine.
O sige, let's ask NEDA now. Neda,
Yeah.
sinong speaker natin? Yeah. Brian Covalies. Brian Covalies, are you prepared to
Brian.
answer?
Hello, ma'am. Yes,
Hi,
ma'am.
Brian. Are you prepared to answer? I don't want to put you
Hello.
on the spot, but are you prepared to answer the definition of access, or do you want to get back to us?
I'll get back to you na lang, ma'am. I'm having my colleagues look into the definition.
Sige. Okay. Ang ganda pa
Okay.
naman ng background mo.
That's
So
okay.
yung buong opisina na yan, tawagin mo, tanong mo kung ano access. Okay, thank you.
Sige po. Thank you po.
Go ahead. Mr.
All
Electado,
right.
go ahead.
So just moving on, I said earlier, 47.8% of Filipinos need to go to refilling stations just to get safe water. So that's a little too high. So I was part of this study that helped develop the Philippine Water Supply and Sanitation Master Plan for NEDA. And what we did is we went to all the regions of the country to identify what were the challenges. Really, it was earlier on. Administrator of LUA touched on some of these, and really, number one is water resources are becoming a major problem. So we have 5 issues here. I'll go over them really quickly. Next slide, please. So what we're seeing is water quantity is already becoming a factor. Some wells are drying up. And what's also happening is you have to go farther and farther just to find water sources to meet your demand. So for example, in Tacloban, I was involved in Yolanda. We had to look for a river that's over 30 kilometers away just to be able to supply water to Tacloban. And even if you find the water sources, the water quality might be suspect because of this linked with sanitation. A lot of our septic tanks are not properly designed and they're seeping now into our groundwater. So there's a lot of contamination now in a lot of groundwater. Also, the water quality for our rivers are also deteriorating. And on top of that, you also see climate change. So it's not raining where it used to be. So some areas are drying up and some areas are getting flooded. Water resources is a big issue. So even for many LGUs, they don't even have water in their immediate vicinity. And as the LUA administrator also mentioned, islands are a severe problem because they don't have the capacity, topography to even retain water. So they have to get water elsewhere. Next, please. We said there are problems also in terms of institutions, governments, and governance. First of all, we don't have a single agency in the country responsible for water supply and sanitation. It's one of those tragedies of the common when so many institutions are involved, nobody's already in charge. And that's what we're really trying to push. We need an agency that can be held accountable and to push for improved access for water and sanitation, an area that's overlooked. And when we talk about sanitation, it's not only about toilets, it's making sure that the water from the toilets are properly treated. And I think I'm being a little ambitious here when we say that 10%, because I suspect it's a lot less, 10% of our wastewater is treated. So most of our water just goes to our bodies of water. All our wastewater goes without proper treatment. Next, please. So we're really also looking for the creation of a proper regulatory commission to ensure that all the water utilities operate the way they should be. Leadership and management is the third aspect. It's been a problem when we went through all the utilities. A lot of our managers, our board members, unfortunately, are not qualified, and it's through no fault of their own. I mean, the bigger utilities might have engineers and accountants. In the small utilities, unfortunately, they don't have access to those skills, so you might have plumbers and bookkeepers running systems, and they might not have the skills necessary to run water systems. So when we see that there's a proposed bill to put up a barangay system in every barangay, that means we need also that many managers. So that's going to be a daunting task. So there's a fellow who said the problem in water is not scarcity, it's a management issue. I mean, we've seen Singapore doesn't even have water. but they've been able to manage their water resources, their water utilities very well by applying a water security aspect and look at water from different dimensions. We don't have to do it for the entire country, but at least we can do it in different parts of the country, and we can start in those areas, little by little. Next, please. So the Lu administrator talked about his travails on financing. Unfortunately, it's still a drop in the bucket. NEDA has computed that we need about 1 trillion pesos over the next 10 years just to achieve universal access. And universal access for the SDG means but we should have it by 2030. Well, the study was made about 10 years ago, so we look at what, 100 billion per year. Now we're looking at 7 years, and so that's going to be a problem. We need about at least 100 billion over 10 per year over 10 years. And I was distraught to hear that Lu was getting 16 million. We have a long, long way to go. Next,
Well, to be
please.
clear lang, it's 562 million last year, 16 million yung sa sanitation. So may 500 million naman, which is still very, very small. You can still be distraught
Yeah,
with the 500
we
million.
still need.
Yeah,
We now need over 100 billion a year just to meet
correct.
our targets, PDP and SDGs. Long way to go. And last one, I think. Next slide. I try to keep this really quick. I think it's just about political will. Unfortunately, water is not a priority. It's not sexy for a lot of our mayors and LGUs. So it's because a lot of the issues is these are long-term projects, and our mayors have 3-year terms. So some of them don't want to pursue water projects because they can't see the end of the project. So it's not become a priority, and
How long?
we need the national agency to compel local governments to improve their access and to improve service. And that's where we think the need for a proper water regulatory agency for the country is long overdue. And that's the last of my slides. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I do have a question or two, but I just want to
Sure.
ask Attorney Reville, yung from the moment that from the moment you start engaging with an LGU, with a water district, no, for them to get funding from you and for you to provide all the technical support you mentioned, how long bago ma-set up yon? Kaya yon within the 3-year term of the mayor? 1 year, 1.5?
Yes, ma'am. This is how water districts are being formed. It should be initiated by the local chief executive, by the mayor, and there will be an ordinance to create the water district. After that, he can already appoint the 5 board of directors. After appointing the 5 board of directors, they will appoint the general manager, and after that, we can already give the seed money about 15 million pesos.
Though the moment you give them the seed money, how long does it take them to set it up?
Well, the first
Of course,
challenge
it
really is the
depends.
source of water. It depends on where they are located. If they have a ready source of water, just like what happened with San Roque in Samar,
Okay,
in northern Samar, it was set up for about 2 years.
okay.
Because
But
they have to
they-
ensure that the water source should be properly technically provided.
Okay, pero meron silang nearby water source.
Yes, ma'am. That's the advantage. May
pag
water
wala-
source ka.
Yun ang matagal.
Pag wala, ma'am, that's also the challenge here with our barangays, because we cannot. Not all barangays are created the same. That they
Of
have the
course.
water source. So we want it water for all. No one is left behind. But the truth of the matter, a lot of our LGUs here in the entire country, they don't have the source.
Well, most geographically isolated barangays will have a lot of problems in general, from the schooling, from the access to resources. So it is what it is, and we do what we can to address it. No, but I just wanted to know kung may malapit-lapit na water source, then that's 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
And we would like it, ma'am, to be scale. So the bigger, the better. So that if they
Yeah,
have a source of water, then they can scale to more LGUs that
Yeah,
they can
so
provide.
that was my next question, but let me just go back to Mr. Alikpala. Future Water Asia is a foundation. It's a social. What is it?
Well, we're really a consulting firm. We try
You're a
to help
consulting
local
firm.
governments address their water and sanitation.
Okay.
I used to be the head of the National Water Resources Board, and I
Yes.
used to be the chairman of NWSS also.
Okay. So, but your outlook is sustainability.
Certainly, of course,
Definitely.
yeah. It's the only way to, yes, it has to be.
Okay. So my question for you is basically, and it's exactly aligned with the last statement you made, Attorney Reveal, na, how did you put it? If it can be set up in such a way that na ma-maximize yung
There's a scale.
access, it can scale, no? So, is that also your proposal? I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? Na, because the water district naman is per municipality, right? Or city, correct? So obviously it's not just one barangay. So easily those in the center of the town or city, magkakatabi naman yon. Then they'll have a number that are far-flung. But low-hanging fruit naman yung magkakatabi is they work together, di ba? Kasi, but can the cities also combine? Or is that, so you can have a water district, o yan, ano yung yes ng mga nasa likod mo. They can combine, what's common, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 cities?
We have the metro. We call it the metro water districts. Metro Davao.
Okay.
Metro Tuguegarao.
Yeah.
Metro Cotabato. Metro.
But those are obviously the ones with big cities. Tapos may katabing ano. Do you see this happening with the smaller municipalities?
Ma'am, it depends on the geographical location. But we would really like them to align, especially if there's a big source of water. This is my proposal, ma'am. If our country can put a big amount of investment to the bulk water supply,
Yeah.
since it's a God-given resource for us,
Okay.
then if we secure the bulk water supply, then that's where we can have the scale.
Okay.
Just like our example here at Bulacan bulk water supply, which is successful because it serves about eight water districts.
Saan
So
yan? Ano yung successful na yan?
in Bulacan because of course, the Angat is there. So at least 7 water districts are availing of it.
I got it. Okay.
So if we can have our more intentional investments, and in the entire country, we should look at our rivers.
Yeah.
We should look at our lakes. So that's where we can start investing big for our bulk
Okay.
bulk supply.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything on that issue, Mr. Lekpala?
Yes, certainly. I mean, I like where he's going. The Bulacan Bulk Water Project was started during my term as NWSS. And the success factor we see also in many water supply projects are economies of scale and scope. We can't do it na tingi-tingi because you miss out on the economies of scale. Bulk water is one way to do it. You have one agency or company develop the bulk to supply multitude of LGUs. It's fine if a city needs water, they can develop a dam, but a 4th, 5th class municipality can't do that. So if somebody can do it on a large scale, the small utilities can benefit from the economies that can be derived from these large projects. But it has to be done. But the question is, there's still a gap. Who should instigate these large bulk water projects? Another area also that we think should be explored is, can national government come in to help subsidize some of these bulk water transmission pipes? I mean, I remember Secretary Singson, when he was Water Czar, was saying, if government can pay for national roads, why can't it pay for transmission pipes? To at least lower the cost to make it more affordable across all local governments. And perhaps that's where national government can come in and leverage their funds with LUAS funds or other funds to make sure these large projects become more available and more affordable.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let me now call on Maynilad Water Services, Mr. Roel Espiritu, and then after that, Manila Waters Company. Manila Water, I mean. But Mr. Roel Espiritu first.
Madam Chairman,
You have somebody with you who
Madam
has...
Chairman, excuse me.
Ayan, that's
My
better.
colleague Ronald Padua, the head of our water supply operation, will do the presentation
Okay.
on behalf of Manila.
The head of what? Who is he?
Ako ng ano ma'am. Okay. Madam Chairman, please allow me to present in behalf of Maynilad.
But what is your title? What is your role? You have another gadget on, so nag-echo kami. Kindly ask your companions to turn off their to mute, no? Okay na yun, di ba, if they mute it?
Yes po.
Okay.
I'll just be sharing my screen.
But I'm asking who you are.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I'm Engineer Ronald Padua, the head of Water Supply Operations Division of Maynilad.
Okay, proceed.
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, kita ba? Kita na. Okay. We were tasked by the committee to make a short presentation of the existing water supply situation of Maynilad and how we are preparing for a possible water shortage, considering that there is a pronouncement from Pag-asa that we are facing.
Can I intervene lang? This hearing is not particularly on your water shortage. It's not for this particular water shortage today, tomorrow. It's for sustainability of water throughout the decades and the years to come. So I really don't need you to specify the immediate. You can pass through it, but you only have a few minutes. It's really the long-term solution that I need to hear.
Yes, madam. Maybe, okay, yes. Let me go straight, maybe. Just a brief background only. Maynilad is servicing the west side of Metro Manila. Basically, the areas of Camanaba, Caloocan, Malabon, Nabotas, part of Manila, Parañaque, Muntinlupa, Las Piñas, and some portions of Cavite, five cities and municipalities in Cavite. And that's being handled by Metro Pacific Investment Corporation, DMCI, and Marubeni. And we just started the new concession last 2007, which is 10 years younger from the old or the original concession agreement, which started in 1997, or the privatization of MWSS. Previously, this just as one slide comparing the situation when the new Maynilad entered into the picture. Previously, there were only about 677,000 water service connections, or roughly same as household, and we are now servicing about 1.5 million water service connection. And previously, only about 32% of those customers are having 24 hours water supply availability. As of end of 2022, there are about 80% of our customers experiencing 24-hour water availability. Okay, I'll skip these slides as is just for the.
Before you go to the, can you go back to your last slide?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
When you say that now 80% have 24-hour water supply, so what is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
reason that the 20% do not have water supply?
Okay po. We still need to install or lay more pipes to cover the remaining 20%. We also need to replace existing old deteriorated pipelines so that we can be able to reduce the losses in those systems, and we can be able to push more water to the far-flung areas in our distribution network. And also, we are waiting for new water sources that we are developing together with MWSS, and this is to cover the future demand that our service area is envisioning to happen.
So is pipes the reason why there's always no water in Parañaque?
Ma'am, I'll discuss it on the succeeding slide for
Okay.
the Parañaque area.
Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Sige po. Our system in Maynilad is subdivided into two. One is the Angat-Ipo water system. The Angat-Ipo water system is highly dependent on the availability of stored water from Angat Dam. So in terms of sustainability, we need to ensure that whenever there are climate situations that may affect the ability to save the stored water in Angat Dam, we need to do because if the stored water in Angat Dam is at a lower level, of course the allocation for MWSS is being lowered lowered down, and good enough. Last April 15 to May 31, we were given the go signal from the National Water Regulations Board that the allocation for MWSS was increased to 52 cms, and we just need to ensure that for this the influence area of our Angat Ipo water system will have no more water interruptions, and we need to submit to the board the future mitigating projects that we need to undertake to ensure that we won't be affected anymore in the future. Okay. Also, for another system that we have is the Laguna Lake water system. Just in 2009, Maynilad endeavored of putting up our new water treatment facilities that draws its raw water from Laguna Lake, and we are very much affected by the varying water quality of the Laguna Lake water, specifically on the turbidity and algal bloom. This is, ma'am, is the one affecting our customers in Parañaque whenever there are spikes or continuous higher turbidity or yung paglabo po ng tubig dun sa raw water namin from Laguna Lake. Our ability to produce water compliant to Philippine national standards for drinking water is affected, and we were constrained to reduce our productions on those episodes. Our normal production for this plant is about 280 to 300 million liters per day, and due to the impact of the or prolonged high turbidity in the Laguna Lake, we went to as low as 180 million liters per day, which affects about 200,000 water service connection, or almost equivalent to household. As of today, our combined production for the plant is about 270 to 290 MLD. Because of the things that we've done in the plant, and also the improvement in the raw water quality from Laguna Lake. We've listed, I'll skip this slide, but we just listed some of the mitigating projects that we are envisioning to be completed within this year, and also these things that we will be doing inside the Putatan water treatment plants. But on top of this technical intervention, I just wanted to highlight this, that we are in constant collaboration with government agencies for the improvement of the water quality of Laguna Lake, specifically with DNR, with LLD, and of course MWSS. And aside from that, we also need to ensure redundancy in water supply sources for Metro Manila, and one of which, of course, as we all know, is the one being constructed by MWSS right now, which is the Kaliwa Dam, okay, which will give additional water source for Metro Manila. This is the supply versus demand curve of Maynilad. Mentioning at the bottom of the graph some of the new water sources that we are envisioning to be completed in the succeeding years, and one of which is the Kaliwa Dam project, or our Teresa water treatment plant, that will yield 300 million liters per day come 2027. That's all for me, ma'am.
Parang wala ka naman diniscuss sa sustainability. Anong meron? Kasi kaya ka namin inimbita dahil sa sustainability. You mentioned lang na you mentioned you're in continuous discussions. I wrote it down on the quality of Laguna Lake, pero other than that, wala ka naman diniscuss. So can you just submit? Kasi
Ma'am, if we may be allowed to share some more of our initiative.
ikaw nga ang sustainability officer, di ba? Tapos pinasa mo naman doon sa isang kasama mo. So wala tuloy akong narinig sa sustainability. Kayo naman, no? Di ba? Hindi ba clear ang directions namin? Head of Quality, Sustainability, and Resiliency, Mr. Roel Espiritu. So, sino ba magdi-discuss nun?
Yes, ma'am, will be sharing some of our initiative, but because we just received also a message from the committee to discuss our mitigation on the
Sino?
water issues right now. So this was sent to us, so that's why that is what we prepared to share. From the Senate Committee on Sustainability, we were asked to discuss issues on water shortage and to give update on the mitigation that we are doing.
Sorry but in the interest of time kasi, I'm trying to manage our time very well. So, medyo
Maybe if you just give
nalito
us
lang
2
ako
minutes,
dun sa... Sige, ganito na lang. Can I get back to you? Let me just call on Manila Water Company muna, no? Tapos balikan kita. Tapos
ma'am.
just give me a short presentation or discussion on your sustainability
Discussion, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
plans. Thank you. So, can I call now on Manila Water? Well, I have two names here, Mr. Emboltorio, the Operation Group Director, and also Ms. Sarah Bergado, the Sustainability Head. You decide who's going to speak. I just want to hear your thoughts on sustainability. Can you hear me? Kasi mukhang nag-freeze tayo. Manila Water, are you there?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
This is Jomar Emboltorio,
Yes.
the Head of Operations of Manila Water. I will be the one presenting, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon,
Good afternoon,
please
Madam
proceed.
Chair. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, Senator Pia Cayetano and the Senate Committee on SDGs, Innovations, and Future Thinking. Good afternoon also to our hardworking Philippine water sector members and other stakeholders. My name is Jomar Emboltorio, Head of the Water Supply and Wastewater Operations of Manila Water for the East Zone. We thank the Senate for inviting us in this very important discussion that is aligned with the SDGs, particularly SDG number 6, the objective to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Just an introduction of Manila Water. Manila Water services the East Zone of Metro Manila, encompassing 23 cities and municipalities. That includes Mandaluyong, Pasig, Pateros, San Juan, Taguig, Marikina, and most parts of Quezon City, portions of Manila, as well as following towns of Rizal, which include Angono, Tipolo, Baras, Binangonan, Cainta, Cardona, Halahala, Morong, Pililla, Rodriguez, San Mateo, Tanay, Taytay, and Teresa. For 25 years, Manila Water has maintained its mission of creating an exceptional water customer experience in the provision of sustainable solutions vital to health and life. Our partnership with the MWSS in the provision of water and wastewater and customer services in the East Zone of Metro Manila, shown in the slide in the province of Rizal, has become a model for operationalizing large-scale public-private partnerships in developing countries such as the Philippines. When Manila Water started in the East Zone in 1997, there were only 300. Sorry. Sorry, ma'am. Just fixing the slide. Okay. Okay. For 25 years, Manila Water has maintained its mission in creating an exceptional customer service. Oh, sorry. Manila Water's efforts to expand our network and reduce system losses have increased. Have increased water availability to nearly 100% of the central distribution system. Operational efficiencies have had been prioritized, enabling Manila Water to maintain a low NRW or non-revenue water, which is at 15%. This NRW is among the lowest in the region, noting that the standards threshold as recommended by the World Bank is 25% or lower. We are confronted with daunting challenges. Amid the backdrop of climate change, of ecosystems and communities becoming more vulnerable, and the constraints brought about by the increasing needs of an expanding population, we are feeling the urgency to deliver improved outcomes. Angat supplies Angat supplies 95% of Metro Manila's water needs with an average demand of 3% increase every year, and the additional 15% demand during the summer months. Annual population growth is at 1.7% in Metro Manila. Plus, we have the challenges brought about by the climate change, such as El Nino. With the existing challenges, Manila Water has developed 4 sustainability pillars as guideposts for implementing our service improvement plans over the years, namely water security. This is diversifying away from Angat Dam as the main source for the East Zone. For the East Zone, reduce reliance on groundwater in the non-East Zone, build sustainable, reliable infrastructure. Manila Water recognizes the need to manage water sustainability and efficiently throughout our supply and distribution network. In this regard, we consistently maintain a non-revenue water level of below 15%, which is among the lowest in the region. We also embedded environmental stewardship in our blueprint management plan that fully integrates biodiversity management, reforestation, enrichment planting, and social development programs for community volunteers are well in place to protect critical watersheds in Angat, Ipo, La Mesa, General Nakar, Alat, Upper Marikina, and Laguna. Second is service accessibility. which is laying more distribution lines to reach more customers, construct new facilities to serve more areas. Manila Water has consistently complied with national regulations and standards for safe drinking water, such as the Philippine National Standards for Drinking Water. Likewise, Manila Water continuously collaborates with its stakeholders for the continuous provision of water supply in the East Zone. The same level of commitment is also being observed by our subsidiaries and operating units outside of Metro Manila and Rizal for the delivery of service of our service obligations. Third pillar Okay. Sorry for that, Madam Chair. We're having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I actually need you to wrap up, and I know you're trying to fix your presentation. It's okay.
ma'am.
Let's just get on with it, please.
Okay. Okay. For our next is our service continuity involves the rehabilitation and improvement of existing facilities such as retrofitting of water treatment plants and reservoirs, mitigate natural calamity risks by constructing climate-resilient assets with backup power supply to ensure the continuity of our operations even during natural disasters, automate distribution network. And last of our pillars is environmental sustainability. This includes the construction of wastewater treatment plants and sewerage systems to comply with biological nutrient removal standards and join stakeholders in our environmental advocacies, which includes Toka Toka and Lakbayan. Since the start of the concession, Manila Water has rehabilitated one major sewage treatment plant and constructed 4 more with a total capacity of treating 410 million liters per day of wastewater. Additional wastewater treatment plant projects and conveyances are also in the pipeline for future customers. In the next 5 years, we continue to dislodge. We continue to do sanitation services for our customers, and studies are also underway for the reuse of treated effluent, as mentioned earlier during the discussion, from STPs to advanced circular economy. Scaling up wastewater for potable or non-potable reuse can be a reliable water source at a time when fresh water availability has become more reliable due to the effects of climate change. This is second to the last slide, ma'am. We have 4 water systems in our plan, in our master plan. These are the Angat La Mesa water system, which involves diverting raw water from Sumag River in Quezon to the Angat Reservoir. The second is the Laguna Lake water system, which involves East Bay, the construction of East Bay water supply project system. Then the phase 1 will be providing 50 MLD, and ultimately it will add another 200 MLD. so a total of 250 MLD coming from Laguna Lake. The third system is the Antipolo water system that will be sourced from the Wawa Calawis water supply system that will provide 580 million liters per day for 1.95 million customers. And the last is the East Sources water system. This is the long-term water sources, which include Kaliwa and water supply project and other long-term East sources. That's our presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.
Sige. Thank you for that, Mr. Embultorio. I will ask for you to join us in the TWG because I feel like the role that both Maynilad and Manila Water have for these sustainability efforts are very crucial. And I know that most of the hearings that you have been invited to are very specific to the current water supply. So I feel like there's a disjunct in your appreciation, and I'm referring really both to Maynilad and Manila Waters, no, in the information that I want, that I need, no, for this committee. I appreciate the information that you gave me, but it's not this committee's focus or what you're doing now, today, for the supply today. My focus is the future and what interventions you're doing, what studies do you have to preserve the water supply that we have. I'm not asking just for like, oh, from Angat Dam, we'll access another river. Kasi limited yung rivers natin, di ba? So like from the biggest concessionaires of water, I think you're the biggest, right? There's no water district naman that can compete. Kailangan ko marinig talagang yung sustainability plan nyo. Diba? Paano ba natin si-save tong country na to? How do we ensure, Mr. Embultorio and Mr. Espiritu, that your grandchildren and my grandchildren will have water to drink? And that those that don't even have water now, maglalakad nga ng 25 minutes, di pa natin alam kung balikan yun or one way, mas marami sa kanilang in 1 minute may water sila, or if that's really a difficult to achieve. And of course kayo, Metro Manila naman ang kayo, so baka hindi nyo masyado concern yun, but you're water experts, di ba? So I'd love to hear then, it may not be within your district na may implement nyo yun, but I consider you as part of the bigger water sector family, right? So that's what I was hoping to hear from all of you. Anyway, I'll just give the floor briefly to Mr. Espiritu because I said I'll give you time, a few more minutes, but it's almost 3 and I have session at 3 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, just going directly to your question on the sustainability. Currently, we are now developing. In fact, we have started using potable reuse of wastewater. We have commenced treating the effluent of our Parañaque wastewater treatment plant last October, and it has a capacity of 10 MLD. So it's even the United Nations, WHO called this as a climate independent source of water. So instead of just bringing back to the bodies of water the treated effluent, we are harnessing the use of technology to convert it to potable water. In fact, in this current business plan that we have, we plan to expand our capacity to another 90 MLD or million liters more. It's really to future-proof yung ating concession because of the effect of the climate change. So that's one thing moving forward that we are doing. But of course, very basic also, ma'am, is we are into the protection and of the watershed where we source our water. In this current business plan, together with MWSS, we are going to reforest about 350 hectares of forest in the Ipo watershed. This is on top of the 1 million trees or about 800 hectares that we have already planted in the last 15 years. Also, vital also is the retrofitting of our plants to handle much higher turbidity as we have experienced since Typhoon Ondoy. So the completion of the retrofitting of our La Mesa 1 and La Mesa 2, originally those plants can only handle 200 NTU of turbidity. Now it will be able to handle 2,000 NTU once completed, hopefully within the years. Also, we are as similar to Manila Water, as also guidance from MWSS, we are lessening our dependence with the Angat water system. Right now, we started in 1997 about 98% dependency on the Angat. Now it's down to 90% because we are able to develop new water sources. And we are developing additional water sources in Cavite. Hopefully, when the 4 modular treatment plants that is ongoing right now, construction and bidding will bring more than 30 MLD in the next 2 years. So basically, those are the things that we are doing to also provide sustainable water to our concession area, Madam. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's actually what I wanted to hear, no? So, sorry on our end if there was miscommunication, but again, I repeat, this is a hearing of the Committee on Sustainable Development Goals, Innovation, and Futures Thinking. So, yung future-proofing, yung sustainability plans for the next generations is really what I wanted to hear. I understand. Thank you for that, no, Mr. Ruel Espiritu. Sa Manila Waters, does Ms. Sara Bergado want to say anything? But I really only have 1 to 2 minutes because I have session at 3. But I know that you have a sustainability head, so baka that's the voice I need to hear for this hearing.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I hope I can be heard. Yeah,
Yes.
for Manila Water, Madam Chair, we have a sustainability agenda, and simply put, it's to protect the environment and to help the communities to thrive better by providing our water and wastewater services, and also to build a culture of trust and care, because that's essentially how sustainability is being handled by corporates such as Manila Water. So just to piggyback on what Mr. Espiritu and what Mr. Emboltorio has mentioned, ma'am, it's really about the impact that we have to the communities and to the environment. So I think it was mentioned that it's securing water supply from here on up to 10 years from now, 30 years from now, and that's by finding new and alternative sources of water and protecting our watershed areas, considering biodiversity and circular economy as well, taking care of our watershed areas. And that also includes wastewater treatment by abating wastewater and pollution on our waterways as part of our mandate as a water and wastewater utility. I guess, Madam Chair, perhaps we could prepare a more comprehensive presentation on how Manila Water as a corporation is handling overall sustainability. That would be more for your committee.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Sige, we will hear more from you. I wish I didn't have to rush you, but I do because my session starts at 3. Thank you, Ms. Sara Bergado. Can I call on NEDA, Brian Cobaldes, but you have 10 seconds because I have to rush to...
Yes, ma'am.
Anong sagot?
Just to clarify very quickly, the 30 minutes po is under the definition of WHO JMP. So sinasabi po nila, if the collection time exceeds 30 minutes for a round trip, including queuing, the service is considered to be limited. So yun po yung definition nila sa ganong klaseng serbisyo, limited po.
All right. Thank you
Yun
for
lang
that.
po, ma'am.
So on that note,
Thank you.
let me leave this thought with everyone in this hearing, no? And of course, thank you for spending the last 2 hours of your day with us. I guess that's the question, because clearly there's no one here who can tell me that we will have water accessible to all. Not tomorrow, not in 10 years, even with the billions of pesos that Attorney Reville said that they are capable of disposing of. So on that note, how do we lessen that time so that there are more people who will have access as defined? Like 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away, may tubig na sila. What are these? Like I noted that kayo nagsabi no na level 3 yung ino-offer nyo. Pero the reality is, of the 1.8 million you will add to those that you are servicing, there are still millions and millions that won't have water. So how do we offer to them? Is it a level 2 then, but a sustainable supply? I'm just looking at you because we had this discussion, but I'm addressing this to everyone in the hearing yesterday and today. And before my staff comes up to me again to remind me that I will be late, the hearing is suspended. I thank everyone, but that's the next question I want us to discuss. What are the alternate plans for true sustainability? Thank you very much.